Hello and welcome! With Shadowbringers coming out very soon, I wanted to take a look at all of the jobs as they currently are at the end of Stormblood at 70, and then we'll make a follow-up video after Shadowbringers comes out with all the jobs at 80 and compare them. Figured we'd start off with my main, Dragoon. I'm just going to go through the basic combo here, basic rotation as I talk about the job and my thoughts on it. I absolutely love Dragoon in Stormblood. Dragoon was in a really weird place at the start of Stormblood where it took a lot to ramp up, and then if you died, you kind of lost everything. And they made a lot of adjustments and really brought Dragoon up to where it is now. I think the Dragoon as it is now is a really fun job to play. There's a lot to balance. You have to try and keep up Blood of the Dragon. You have to try and balance out your Nastron timings. You have your positionals. I just think Dragoon's a lot of fun to play now as compared to where it was at the start of Stormblood. And it was in a really good place at the end of Heavensward. It was pretty solid. But when the Stormblood abilities first started coming out, Dragoon was pretty rough. It looks really fun, it looks really cool, but it was really hard to balance, especially if you died. You were basically starting everything over again from zero. Now, it's not as hard to rev up that engine anymore. You get going and you're in. If you're a good Dragoon, and you're dodging your AoEs and stuff like that, you're not going to have much difficulties at all. But now, even if you are not a great Dragoon, or you're a new Dragoon, and you're worried about how you're going to play, you have a lot more leeway than you used to have, which is very nice, I think. It definitely has made the job more user-friendly. It has lowered the skill floor on Dragoon, but I think the skill ceiling is still very high. I think Dragoon is a lot of fun to mess around with, and one of the things that makes it really fun for me is the constant balance. It's the I have blood for blood and could take a lot more damage at the expense of giving more damage. It's the I have to balance Blood of the Dragon so I don't lose it, and while doing that I also need to be able to pull out my Nastrons. I want to keep Blood of the Dragon as high as I can so that when I get my Nastron window, when I've used all my jumps and got my dive readies, I'm able to really get in there. But even if something terrible happens and I'm not able to keep up Blood of the Dragon, I do still have other alternatives to be able to put out quite a bit of damage. I do miss some of our previous abilities, and I feel like when we make the follow-up video, there'll probably be some more abilities gone. But as you can see, I think Dragoon really balances the off-GCD abilities very nice. The ability to throw out those Nastrons, the ability to get in the jumps and weave in the dive readies. I think it's very good. You have a lot of raid utility with Battle Litany, with your Pierce debuff. You have just the raw damage that you deal already. With Blood for Blood is very nice. You have quite a bit of survivability between Bloodbath. You have your second wind roll action, of course. And then you have Life Surge, which is very nice because it's an auto crit and heals you for that amount. I think they've gone above and beyond in making Dragoon really powerful and feel really fun to play. And there I've made the cardinal sin of any Dragoon. I dropped Heavy Thrust. You're a Dragoon and you're dropping Heavy Thrust on the regular. You should probably reevaluate your rotation. But I just think that Dragoon is a lot of fun. Now, solo Dragoon is not quite as powerful as it is with another class, or even just another person nearby, because of Dragon Sight. I do have a couple Dragon Sight macros that I use, because Dragon Sight is still not perfect. It's probably my biggest complaint with Dragoon as it is. You click it, and it doesn't auto-find a target for you. That's what the macros are for. I have one for closest target, or one for closest target and one for closest DPS. But it's just, it may not be perfect, but it does work in its current form. I just wish that it had some priority on its own, because you're meant to stop and select a party member and target them with it. And for some people, it's probably not that big of an issue. For me, I get tunnel vision very easily on Dragoon and have to be careful. But thankfully, Dragoon has this that allows you to get away. Elusive Jump is a lifesaver and will save your life very often. You should use it. Do not forget, Diversion's great for dropping aggro, but Elusive's even better. You do still, of course, have the ranged attack in the form of Piercing Talon. It's fine. It does its job just fine. It's not great damage-wise, and it eats quite a bit of TP that I could be using for other attacks, especially since Jump and Dive Ready also are both ranged attacks. But it's not too bad at all. I do have some small complaints, as you've heard. The other big complaint for me is the AoEs. I love the AoEs on Dragoon, but they can be very difficult to land. in certain situations. Last night, I had a tank that liked to move. Very small, imperceptible movements. I guess he was trying to dodge auto attacks. I don't know. But because Dragoon AoEs are line AoEs, you will find some difficulties sometimes in landing AoEs when the tank does not want to stay still, which can be very unfortunate. I also find that without the heavy thrust combo, with that gone, I see more Dragoons that are not weaving heavy thrust in as much. Which is dumb to say because the heavy thrust combo was an AoE combo to begin with, but still, I definitely notice it. I also see Dragoons that only use one of their two combos. I missed a Nastron there. Forgive me. That was terrible. You should be switching up between the two. Because your full thrust combo does more damage than your chaos thrust combo. I always forget the names, which is a shame. Because they're good names. But your chaos thrust combo is the one that has the piercing debuff. Oh, there it was. Did not use a wheeling thrust or a fanging claw. Would have dropped blood for blood before the changes because of that. But your full thrust combo does more damage. So you need to be switching between the two instead of just relying on one, which I see far too often. The last big thing on Dragoon is do not forget about your roll actions. You want to bring Goad. Especially, you don't have an excuse now that you can have all 10. You want to bring Goad, you want to bring Second Wind, you should bring Fate, even though it's not ours alone anymore, and it's not the same Fate. It's definitely still worth using. And I still bring Leg Sweep, just because it's not the same Leg Sweep anymore. We don't do that cool spin. But, you know, I like Leg Sweep. Leg Sweep's cool. It used to be ours before they took it away. With all that said, though, I think Dragoon's in a really good spot as of Stormblood. I'm excited to see the changes, especially once we get the job video. The job actions video that's going to come out to show what the changes are going to be and what new moves there are. And, of course, the live letters that come afterwards to show more information about it. I think Dragoon's really good, and if you've been afraid of playing Dragoon because of all the jokes about how easy it is to die on Dragoon, you do have some options to keep yourself topped up if the healer doesn't want to heal you anymore. But don't be afraid to dip in. Just grab that lance and go, because I think Dragoon is definitely worth it. And we're going to finish off with one final Nastron combo here, because I can't help myself. I love Nastron. Lining up your Nastron windows to be able to do the most damage possible to a boss feels really good. Especially if you get it set up with like Life Surge or with Battle Litany or Blood for Blood. You really want to line those up. And what's really cool is that because your second jump has a 60 second recast window, it's pretty easy to line Blood for Blood up with Nastron, as long as you're being careful. And as you can see, even while you're Nastron, even while you're in Eye of the Dragon, you are able to still use your dive readies and build up for the next one. So it's already ready for the next jump window, which will line up almost perfectly with Blood for Blood. All we have to do is make sure that we have heavy thrust up and make sure that we have enough Blood of the Dragon to be able to capitalize on it, and we'll be good. Which is what we're about to do right here. We'll do one final combo to get everything lined up correctly. And our uptime will be perfect. We're going to go ahead and get in a Dragonfire there. And we will Blood for Blood, jump, dive ready, Nastron. And there you go. Crazy good damage. Lots of fun. Kind of difficult at times. A lot easier now than it was. A lot more user-friendly now than it was. I think Dragoon is definitely worth trying out. With all that said, though, I've been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. And remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that Dragoon has to offer.